Hello, my name is Sam. Today I want to tell you a story about my journey of learning how to speak English fluently. I hope my story gives you some useful ideas that you can use too. This is not just a list of tips. It's a tale filled with little memories, fun moments, and lessons I picked up along the way. When I first started learning English, I felt shy. Words didn't come out right. I knew what I wanted to say in my mind, but the words always got stuck on my tongue. Have you ever felt like that? I think many people do. But I found out that learning English is like planting a garden. At first, it looks hard, but with time, patience, and little steps, the flowers start to bloom. One day, my friend Lily told me, Sam, the more you speak, the better you get at first. I laughed. I thought, how can I speak when I don't know the words? But she smiled and said, you know more than you think. Just try, so I started talking. Not perfectly, not fast, but I tried. I spoke with friends, neighbors, even my cat. And little by little, the words felt easier. I learned that mistakes are like small stones on the road. They slow you down a bit, but they don't stop you from reaching your destination. A fun memory I have is when I tried to order coffee in English for the first time. I wanted a latte, but I accidentally said, I'd like a late. Please, the waiter smiled and asked. A latte, I nodded quickly, feeling a bit embarrassed. But he wasn't laughing at me. He knew I was learning. That moment taught me something important. People are kind when they know you're trying. So don't be afraid to speak, even if it's not perfect. Reading also helped me a lot. I started with children's books because they have simple words. Every night I read one story. If I didn't understand a word, I didn't worry. I guessed its meaning from the other words around it. Later, I checked it in a dictionary. Each new word was like finding a tiny treasure, and slowly my vocabulary grew. I remember reading The Little Prince and feeling proud because, for the first time, I could understand most of it on my own. One day I discovered the magic of listening. I found English songs that I liked. I listened to them again and again, trying to catch the words. At first, the lyrics were like a fast river I couldn't swim through. But as I listened more, I began to pick out words. Oh, I know that word, I would say to myself, and it made me happy. I also started watching TV shows and movies with subtitles. It felt like having a teacher right there on the screen. Whenever I heard a phrase one liked, I repeated it out loud. It was like playing a fun game. Talking to myself also became a secret tool. When I was alone, I pretended I was talking to someone. I practiced introducing myself, asking questions, or sharing my thoughts. It felt strange at first, but soon it became a habit. I realized that speaking aloud helped my brain get used to forming sentences quickly. One thing that really pushed me forward was writing a journal in English. Every night I wrote about my day, even if it was just a few lines. Today I went to the park. I saw a cute dog. It wasn't much, but it was a way to practice thinking in English. Writing also helped me remember new words. If I learned the word cute one day, I made sure to use it in my journal that night. That way, the word stuck in my mind like glue. Lily also told me to try something called shadowing. It's when you listen to someone speak and try to copy them exactly like a shadow following its owner. I chose a short speech from a video I liked and practiced repeating it over and over. At first, it was hard, but the more I did it, the easier it got. Shadowing helped me improve my pronunciation and rhythm. It felt like learning how to dance with words. I realized that making friends who spoke English was a big help. I joined a local language exchange group where people from different countries came together to practice speaking. We laughed, shared stories, and helped each other. Having real conversations made learning more fun. It wasn't just about learning words. It was about connecting with people. There were times when I felt frustrated. Sometimes I couldn't find the right words and I wanted to give up. But then I remembered something Lily had said: fluency isn't about knowing all the words. It's about feeling comfortable with what you know. That thought gave me comfort. I stopped worrying about being perfect. I focused on enjoying the process. Another thing I discovered is that small, daily practice is better than long, tiring sessions. Even 5 minutes a day made a difference. It was like watering a plant every day. You don't see the change right away, but over time it grows. And one day you wake up and realize your English is blooming like a beautiful flower. And guess what? One day I found myself thinking in English without even trying. It was a small thought, just what should I eat for lunch, but it felt like a big victory. It made me realize that fluency isn't just about speaking. It's about thinking, dreaming, and feeling in the new language. Now I feel more comfortable speaking English. I know I still have a lot to learn, but that's okay. Learning is a journey, not a race. Every new word, every conversation, and every mistake is part of the adventure. And the best part, the journey never ends. There's always something new to discover. So, what about you? Do you want to share your story with me? What helps you learn? How do you practice speaking English every day? Let's keep this conversation going. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your dreams, and your tips too. We're all on this journey together, and the road is more fun when we walk it side by side. What do you think? What's your next step to becoming fluent? I can see you're ready to keep going. That's wonderful. The journey of improving English is full of little adventures, and each day brings a new chance to grow. Let me tell you about a few more moments that shaped my path and gave me confidence. One funny memory I have is when I tried to tell a joke in English. Jokes can be tricky because they often rely on wordplay. I practiced telling a simple one I found online. It went something like, "Why was the math book sad? Because it had too many problems. I rehearsed it many times. But when I told it to my friends, I accidentally said, 'The math book had too many answers.'" They stared at me for a second, confused. I laughed at myself, and they joined in. That moment taught me not to take things too seriously. It's okay to laugh at mistakes because laughing means learning. Another thing I learned was to celebrate small wins. Every time I used a new word correctly or had a smooth conversation, I gave myself a little reward. Sometimes it was a piece of chocolate. Other times I treated myself to a relaxing walk or listened to my favorite song. These small rewards made learning feel fun instead of stressful. They reminded me that every step forward, no matter how small, matters. I also tried writing poems in English. Now, I'm not a poet, but I found that writing short, simple poems was a great way to play with words. I would write about everyday things like the rain, my cup of tea, or the stars at night. The poems didn't have to be perfect, they just needed to be mine. One day I wrote, "The moon is bright, the night is near." Words in my mind become so clear. That little poem made me realize that learning English isn't just about rules. It's also about expressing yourself in new and creative ways. A very useful tip I found is to talk slowly. At first, I thought speaking fast meant you were fluent. But I learned that fluency is not about speed, it's about clarity. It's okay to pause, think, and then speak. In fact, native speakers do that too. When I allowed myself to slow down, I felt more relaxed and my words came out smoother. I once met a traveler from another country. His English wasn't perfect, but the way he spoke made me feel calm. He used simple words, short sentences, and lots of gestures. We talked for hours about music, food, and life. That conversation taught me that being fluent means making the other person feel comfortable, not showing off your vocabulary. I also started playing word games like crosswords and Scrabble in English. It was a fun way to learn new words without feeling like I was studying. I invited friends to play with me, and soon we had small competitions. We laughed a lot when someone made up a word that didn't exist, but the best part was that we were learning together. Lily gave me another good piece of advice: don't compare yourself to others. I used to feel bad when I heard people who spoke English better than me. But Lily said, everyone's journey is different. The important thing is that you're improving every day. Those words stayed with me. Instead of comparing, I started focusing on my progress. Another habit I picked up was listening to podcasts while doing simple tasks like washing dishes or going for a walk. I didn't try to understand every word. I just let the sounds wash over me. Over time, my ears became more familiar with the rhythm of the language, and I found myself understanding more without even trying. I also set small, achievable goals for myself. One day, I decided I would learn 5 new words by the end of the week. I wrote them on sticky notes and put them where I could see them on the fridge, the mirror, and my desk. Every time I saw the notes, I said the words out loud. By the end of the week, they felt like old friends. One of my favorite things to do was practice with tongue twisters. Have you tried them? They're hard, but so much fun. I loved saying, "She sells seashells by the seashore" as fast as I could. I messed up a lot, but I laughed every time. Tongue twisters helped me with pronunciation and made me feel more confident with difficult sounds. As I kept practicing, I noticed that my fear of speaking started to disappear. I no longer felt nervous when I had to talk to strangers or ask for help in English. And even when I made mistakes, I knew it was okay. I reminded myself the goal is communication, not perfection. One evening, I had a dream in English. It was a simple dream, but it made me smile when I woke up. I realized that my brain was slowly accepting English as part of my daily life. It felt like a big step forward. The journey of learning English is full of ups and downs, but every step teaches you something valuable. You just need to keep going, one word at a time, one conversation at a time. And remember, it's okay to take breaks when you need them. Learning should feel like an adventure, not a burden. So tell me, what's your favorite way to practice English? Do you like reading, listening to music, or speaking with friends? Or maybe you have your own secret technique that works for you. I'd love to hear all about it. Together we can share ideas and keep improving. Let's continue this journey step by step, word by word. What will your next English adventure be? I'd love to continue. Learning English is like walking on a long, winding path where every turn offers a new discovery. Some days are easy, like a stroll through a sunny park, and others feel like climbing a steep hill. But if you keep moving, even small steps will take you far. Let me tell you about a time I felt stuck. It was one of those days when nothing seemed to work. I tried to read a book, but I couldn't focus. I spoke to someone, but my words felt clumsy. I felt frustrated and thought, maybe I'll never get better at this. Have you ever felt that way? If so, I understand. It's normal to feel like that sometimes. But then, Lily gave me some advice that changed everything. She said, when things get hard, take a break, but make it a fun break. So, instead of forcing myself to study, I did something different. I watched a cartoon in English. It was silly and lighthearted, and I laughed a lot. Without realizing it, I was still learning, but it didn't feel like hard work. That break refreshed my mind and made me excited to keep going. This taught me that learning doesn't always have to be serious. Sometimes it's the fun moments that teach you the most. After that, I started finding playful ways to practice. I made silly rhymes with new words. Like a cat with a hat loves to chat, I sang along to songs, even if I didn't know all the words. I even gave names to objects around me. In English, my pillow became Fluffy, and my chair was Mr. Wobbly. It might sound silly, but it made me feel more connected to the language. One morning, I found myself talking to my plants. I said, "Hello, little plant. You're looking green today. Did you have a good sleep?" It was just a fun habit, but it helped me get used to speaking English without pressure. It felt like practice without judgment. Speaking of judgment, I used to feel very self-conscious about my accent. I thought, what if people can't understand me? But one day I met a traveler who had a strong accent, and guess what? I understood him perfectly. His words weren't perfect, but his message was clear. That's when I realized something important. Your accent is a part of who you are. It's okay to have an accent. What matters most is that people understand you and connect with you. After that, I stopped worrying about sounding perfect. I focused on communicating with others, even if my words weren't perfect. And you know what? People appreciated it. They listened, smiled, and responded kindly. That gave me so much confidence to keep talking. Another thing that really helped was asking questions. If I didn't understand a word or phrase, I asked someone to explain it. Most people were happy to help, and I learned so much from those little conversations. I also tried to guess the meaning of new words from the situation or the tone of voice. Learning from real-life conversations felt more exciting than looking up words in a dictionary. Over time, I realized that listening carefully is just as important as speaking. I started paying attention to how people used words in different situations. I noticed how they greeted each other, how they said goodbye, and how they expressed emotions. Listening helped me pick up natural phrases like take care or catch you later. Those phrases made my conversations sound more natural. Once I had a conversation with a stranger at the bus stop. We talked about the weather, just a simple chat, but it made me feel so happy. That small moment showed me that you don't need fancy words to connect with people. Sometimes a friendly "how's your day going" is all it takes to start a nice conversation. Another thing I enjoyed was keeping a list of my favorite words and phrases. I wrote them down in a notebook and looked at them whenever I had a spare moment. Some words felt so beautiful, like serendipity, which means finding something good by accident. Others were fun to say, like bubble or squirrel. Keeping that list made me feel like I was building my own collection of treasures. I also started practicing mindfulness with English. Whenever I was out for a walk, I would describe things around me in my head. The sky is clear. The wind feels cool. That tree is very tall. It was a simple exercise, but it made me feel more connected to the language and my surroundings at the same time. One of the most valuable lessons I learned is that fluency grows when you live the language. That doesn't mean moving to an English-speaking country. It means finding ways to bring English into your everyday life. Whether it's through songs, books, conversations, or even thinking in English, every small effort adds up. And here's the best part: learning English opened doors to new friendships, ideas, and cultures. I met people from different parts of the world, and we shared our stories. English became more than just a tool. It became a bridge connecting me to others. So, my friend, where are you now on your journey? Are there moments that make you feel proud, or challenges that make you feel stuck? Remember, it's okay to feel both. Every learner faces ups and downs. The important thing is to keep going. What small step will you take today? Will you try a new word? Sing a song? Have a conversation with someone, even if it's just for a minute? Whatever you do, enjoy the process. The road to fluency is long, but it's also full of wonderful moments waiting to be discovered. Let's keep walking this road together. What's your next step? Tell me, and we'll continue from there.